G'day guys, Todd here from Off-Road Crusader, and today we are test driving this absolute unit. This is the 2025 Toyota Tundra Limited. I've been given the keys, told to give it a proper workout, tell them what I think. We found some places it works really, really well, other places it didn't quite work that well, and we're working towards answering an all-important question. Why should you buy one of these things? And if you want to know the answer to that question as well, stick around, watch the review, and let's see if it's worth spending $165,000 on this piece of magnificence. Let's go. Right, so this is the 2025 Toyota Tundra. It's the limited model, which is the base spec model. When they say base spec, it means it just doesn't come with a few little extras, which are offered in the upper spec premium models coming later this year. Up the front, we have a huge grille, we have a very tall bonnet, and we have a big engine under there. So under here, you're not gonna find a massive V10, you're not gonna find a V8, and you're not gonna find a diesel. This has got a hybrid under it. 3.4 litre twin turbo V6, with an electric motor and a hybrid system built onto the side of it, with a max output of 335 kilowatts and 790 newton meters of torque. That's huge. And tell you what, driving this thing around, it really feels it. It is a very powerful vehicle, and it is so easy to use and so easy to get up to speed. Now that electric motor on the side of it is there to help fill in the gaps where the petrol motor is still spooling up those turbos. It also is there to move the vehicle at low speeds when a petrol motor isn't required. So for example, if you're just trying to slowly maneuver through a car park, you're moving the car around in the driveway, it'll mainly just use the electric motors and it'll actually move the car around like that. As soon as you start demanding that bit more power from the engine, the twin turbo V6 will kick on and then give you that extra power and then move on from there. And then as you're driving, it'll actually recharge that electric system, and so that's all ready to go. And you'll find as well that, especially if you say coming down a hill, get all the way to the bottom and you get to the bottom, you give it a bootful trying to get back up, you'll find the electric motor and the petrol motor will work together to give you the maximum amount of power and torque to get you away as you're asking the engine to do. So it's a fantastic system. And tell you what, driving it around for the last few days, I have been super impressed with it. I have never found a situation where I've thought, wish it had a bit more power, or, you know, wish it was a diesel, you know, but none of that. I've never had any issues at all. The amazing thing for it, and there's probably a little bit of trickery behind it, but for the sensory person that I am, it doesn't matter. When you're driving this thing and you give it a bootful, you got to get around that truck or whatever it may be, it sounds like a V8. It's really uncanny. It's got this deep, like burbly rumble that it puts through, and you go, oh, this feels great. Outside the vehicle, it isn't loud, it isn't gargantuan, it isn't bombastic, but it still does deliver a nice little note. And I tell you what, it's a very modern cry from the engines of some of the other applicable vehicles in this range. So for example, you've got your Chevy Silverado, your Dodge Ram, those larger vehicles that are coming now to Australia. You've got the F-150 that's coming as well. And to have a modern petrol hybrid under there, which delivers so much power and torque, is really great. And it really shows that, you know, Toyota's sort of moving forward with the times and moving forward rather than just, oh, big motor, big V8, no replacement for displacement. You know, it's a fantastic motor and I'm really happy to drive around in it. Up the front, you got this huge grille, which obviously has the radio and everything behind it. It's also got a heap of fans to keep everything cool. And when you pull up to a stop, it'll actually turn the petrol motor off, and it will just have the electric motors running and the fans and everything to keep it cool. And geez, it produces some airflow. You walk past here and it feels like you're walking past like the jet engine on a 747 or something. And as you walk over the front, you expect to get sucked into it. There's that much air moving through this thing, it's incredible. So we've got a big square grille on the front for that big presence that you asked for, heaps of airflow moving through it. The headlights on it, I haven't had to use them really much at night, but for what I have, they've actually been very, very impressive, and give good visibility and stuff on the road as well. Now this bonnet is huge, and you've got these sort of black plastic garnishes on the top, which aren't too bad. The only downside I'll point out is that when you're in the driving position, you've got these ridges on the bonnet, which you go, oh, yep, I know they're on there. But with these and everything on there, you can't see the corners of the vehicle. And it makes it a little bit difficult sometimes for depth perception, especially in smaller areas. You've obviously got all your parking sensors, your radars, all your safety features, that sort of stuff. But sometimes it would be nice to know where the front corner of the car is. And honestly, you just can't tell with this sort of front end. And here we have a very long vehicle. This car is massive. It's nearly 6 meters long. The wheelbase itself is just under 4 meters long as well. And it's huge. There's some vehicles that you drive around to and the whole vehicle could fit inside the wheelbase of this car. You got a really sturdy side step on there, which is great. I was expecting to see a little flimsy plastic step or something on there, but that is quite strong and tough, which is great. The side mirrors give great visibility. They've also got 360-degree cameras all the way around the car as well. So especially when you try to maneuver around in tight spaces, you do get a lot of that feedback back on the multi-info display in the center of the vehicle. They have these big Cat 6 indicators on them, which I believe are for Australian compliance. Not too sure, but they look exactly like the ones you get on your GVM upgrades and that sort of stuff. Your tyres, standard, they come with a 20-inch rim. They've got a highway terrain tyre on them. Pretty comfy on the road. I think the rims look great, but if you're looking at doing something off-road, you'd probably want to look into that. The brakes are huge. They're very, very aggressive. If you want to pull up to a stop, something jumps out in front of you, these will pull this vehicle up, which is fantastic because this vehicle, as it is, tear weight, is about 2.7, 2.8 tons. So it's pretty heavy straight off the block, but being a big vehicle, you're probably going to load it up even more and you're probably going to throw something on the back like a caravan or a trailer or something. So it's good to know that the brakes are really, really good. Round to the back of the car, side exit exhaust, really good if you're towing, means you're not going to get all that emissions and stuff all over the front of your caravan. The tailgate is gargantuan. It is massive, but this has got a nice little push button and it just self-lowers. It's fantastic. It's, yeah, really light to use. It's not particularly heavy. And it's got that sort of torsion bar in the back of it that makes it raise and lower quite easy. On the back there, you've got your camera and your, there's another light on there as well. Also, I don't know if you can see it, but right up the top there where that brake light is 2 other cameras. So one of those is for your rear vision camera, which is constantly on, and another one is for your 360-degree view. And it also allows you to look into the tub while you're driving, making sure your load's obviously all still secure. On the side of the tub, there are mounting rails. They give you these tie down points which are movable up and down the tub. So if you are lashing stuff down, it gives you lots of different options. There's no power points or anything in the rear. I was really hoping there'd be some sort of, you know, power outlet, cigarette outlet, even a 240 outlet or something like that. But there's nothing in the back here. So if you are going to buy this vehicle and do it up for touring, that's probably something you'll want to look into, so you can have power in the back to run a fridge or whatever else it might be on there. Even if you want to just have camping accessories on this back tailgate, you're probably going to want to power them. So you may want to put some, you know, SIG sockets or USBs or something in the back here as well. The tail lights, which I think look really good. They're probably one of my favorite features on this car because I think they just modernize this whole thing and make it look really futuristic. The other exciting thing, which usually you have to pay a lot of money for, is you have a towing 12-pin socket already built into the vehicle. This has obviously got your normal 7 pins for your towing your normal trailer, and it's also got your 5 accessory pins if you're towing to run charging stuff to your caravan. The only downside to it being located up here, which is nice and up and out of the way, is for every other vehicle, you mount them down here where the tow bar is. So it means that if you've got all your wiring coming from your caravan, you hitch up, you may find that the wiring from your caravan is going to be that much too short to actually reach all the way to the plug up here. It's something that's fixable. It's something that's definitely a workaround, but I don't know. I just think maybe that they thought, that's great, it's all the way up here, but it probably should have been a little bit closer down towards the tow bar. Standard square hitch receiver, obviously got a tow bar built into it. These rigs are designed to tow. These are rated to tow up to 4.5 ton. With a 70mm ball and stuff on the back. If you're just using the standard 50mm ball, you've still got a maximum of 3.5 ton you can tow with. All your rear parking sensors, your spare tyres underneath, which is just a space saver spare, which is a little bit disappointing. You'd think for a car of this amount of dollars and for this luxury, you'd get a full-size spare or something like that, but it is just a space saver. So, you know, gotta just be careful, don't pop any tyres. On the back seat here, these are absolute couches. It's like a huge recliner in the back here. Massive amounts of space for your rear seat passengers. All upholstered leather, perforated leather, really, really nice. Center armrest, obviously. There's ISOFIX points on the 2 outer seats and also a child restraint on all 3. So if you're going to get three kid seats across here, you can. A bit disappointing they don't have ISOFIX in the center. Even with my car, the 200 series, there's no ISOFIX in the center, and I really wish there was, because I can't think it would be that hard to implement, but it would gives you so many more options with setting your kids' seats out. But again, you've only got your outer one, so you'll just have to use a normal seatbelt style kids seat in the center if you want to. But they've got to have heaps and heaps of room, and heaps of leg room as well. Even with these seats fully all the way back, any adult whose thigh bone is not longer than that, anyone less than Shaquille O'Neal, is going to have massive amounts of room and stuff in here. And they're going to be pretty well catered for as well. I mean, you've got power windows, obviously. You've got 2 cup holders in each door, and then 2 cup holders on the front of the center console as well. There are power outlets on there, USB and USB-C. And you've got speakers in the back here. There's a big subwoofer behind the seats as well. So yeah, it's going to be pretty nice and comfy back here if you're traveling around with kids. I'm obviously using it as a bit of a charge station, but really it's your oyster, this thing. It just gives you so many options. Now up to the business end of the vehicle. This is probably the best seat in the house, I believe so. I'll jump right in, because why not? Heaps and heaps of room. It is very easy to sit in here and knock out a huge amount of Ks without getting uncomfortable. The seats are really comfortable, heaps of different adjustments, lumbar support, that sort of thing. Heated and cooled seats, all of your aircon controls, all of your different infotainment stuff. It's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, that sort of stuff. Your rear view mirror is actually a camera, full-time camera, which I think is fantastic and something I'd probably want to implement on my car. It's really, really handy. This car comes standard equipped with electric brakes from Toyota. So there's a little module down here that allows you to adjust your electric brakes, make them stronger or softer. There's also a heap of towing modes and stuff built into the traction control system, and you tell it what type of trailer you have and what sort of driving you do, and it will adjust that, and it will do, you know, like sway control and that sort of stuff, which I think is really, really cool. The center console is huge, heaps of cup holders, 2 massive cup holders in here, which are actually like hold cups really, really well. Speaking of which, if you're going to get a travel mug, Endless Parks, if you're listening, you make a really awesome coffee mug. Comes with all the WA national parks sort of silhouetted on the side, and then they give you a sticker pack. And for every national park you've been to, you throw a sticker on it. So I can see on there all the ones I've been to, all the ones I haven't. And every time I pick this up, I think about planning a new adventure. So that's awesome. I really like this cup. If you're going to grab one, Endless Parks, check that out. Really, really cool. Not sponsored or anything, I just thought I'd show you a really cool product while I'm here. You do have built into here, there is a wireless car charger already built in, which has a little slot on here to hold it steady, which I think is actually a really cool idea. Everything's rubberized as well to sort of stop things sliding around. Gear shift is super easy to use. Automatic park brake, so as soon as you put it into park, it pulls the handbrake on automatically. There's an override feature on the front here, but I've never even used it yet. You've got a dial here for your different drive modes, so that's more to do with the hybrid system. Very similar to how the Hilux works, so you've just got a normal mode where it manages the electric motor and the petrol motor to basically just give you the best all-round performance. You can put it in eco mode, which obviously prioritizes the electric, allows you to cruise around nice and quietly, or you can put it in sport mode, which prioritizes the petrol motor and then uses the electric motor to back up that and give you that little bit of extra power. So kind of fun to play with the different modes. They don't really change too much else, but putting it in sport mode, you use the petrol motor more, which actually means it charges the battery quicker. So if you find that the battery's getting low, you can put it in sport mode and it will charge it up quicker, and that way you're good to go whenever you use it. Likewise, if you sort of trying to be quiet out the driveway, you might want to put it in eco mode, and it will allow you to cruise on that electric motor up to a small speed. Now this car does have a 4-wheel drive system. It is a 4-wheel drive, but it's not sort of focused on that, if you know what I mean. I've got a selector here. The car comes standard as a 2-wheel drive version, so the rear wheel drives are now pushing the vehicle. I can push this down and adjust it to 4-wheel drive in high range, and I've also got a 4-wheel drive in low range. It's a little bit clunky to use, but it starts to hint at what this sort of vehicle is designed for, what its purpose is, what it's happy to do, and what it will do if you ask it to do. These vehicles are built in left-hand drive. They then get converted to right-hand drive and sent to Australia. They update a number of things on the dash, obviously, to reflect that. They've ironed out 95% of the bumps, but that last 5%, like you'll find later on in the video, are the little things which tend to stand out, unfortunately. And I don't know, I feel like everything's not quite sort of orientated towards the driver, as you'd probably expect from a driving vehicle. It's a little bit universal, which seems a strange thing, but once you get in one and drive on, you'll probably understand what I mean. Like, nothing's for the driver, it's just for the dash. Also, you've got these buttons over here to adjust for your camera and your tow mode and your traction control. Why are they on the passenger side of the vehicle? Why aren't they over here? They've got exactly the same buttons over here ready to go. Why not use them? I don't know. Maybe they ran out of time when they were doing the conversion. Just open up the beating heart here. And you got to watch out, because I don't know what they put in the gas struts here, but just about rips the bonnet off the hinges. Here you have the bucket of magnificence, which is the 3.4 litre V6 hybrid. You can see up the back there, they got the electrics, the battery pack all up there ready to go. Bright orange wiring, of course. You've got twin turbos, and there's twin intakes on this car, which is kind of cool. You've got 2 air filters, which makes it sort of seem more muscular and that sort of stuff. But the one thing I do like, and this is a small thing, is where the V6 is. The V6, by its nature, is quite compact. It's actually quite far back in the engine bay. It's like underneath the windscreen almost. And that means that you've got a huge amount of room at the front here for your radiators and everything else going on. And there's a huge amount here for the grille. It doesn't sound like a lot, but especially for a modern vehicle that's going to be traveling around and probably traveling around Australia, that sort of stuff. If you have an animal strike or a vehicle strike, whatever it is, there's so much room in front of here before you start to hit the engine. And I also think where they've got the engine is like over the front axle. It's almost behind the front axle as well. So you don't get that sort of nose heavy feeling with this car, which is quite nice. It's a V6, so it's not particularly heavy, but it's still an engine. There's a lot going under here, but it's pulled as far back as it can. And I think that really improves how the car drives as well. So what's the Tundra like to actually drive on the road? Well, I'm on a bit of a B road at the moment. Nice paved surface, open space, bush around me, pretty good road to drive really. And the Tundra just really eats it up. It's super comfy in here. The seats are really comfortable. I've got heated and cooled seats if I want them. Multiple different ways to adjust the seat with lumbar support, that sort of stuff. Amazing driving position, heaps of visibility. It doesn't feel, out here, it doesn't feel like a big car, which I think is probably the nicest thing it can do. And probably also not that surprising considering that you've got so much space to essentially envelop with this sort of car. The engine and gearbox combination is really, really nice. It drives absolutely beautifully. I've got heaps of power from the V6 petrol engine with the hybrid motor attachment as well. And the 10-speed just means that you're always just in a real nice coasting gear. You can cruise, you can make it nice and easy. It's a nice place to sit if you have to soak up heaps of Ks. It's absolutely beautiful. When you want the power, you can put your foot down and away you go. When you don't want it, you back off, put it on radar cruise, and just let it do its thing. It's fantastic. The other great thing about driving this is it doesn't feel like a ute as you'd expect it to. There's a lot of dual cabs utes out there which have leaf springs and stuff on the back. They're designed to have weight on them. They're a work vehicle. And when they're unloaded and you do roads like this, every single bump can feel really jarring because there's nothing to force those leaf springs down and make them to work. But with this set, with the coils in the back of this, and it's basically got a 300 series front end on it with the suspension, and it's so plush just driving over things, and it gives you confidence as well. Like, there's no surprises with how it's going to handle if a pothole comes up or you're carving up the roads and you have to put a tire off the edge to get around someone, whatever it may be. Like I said, it's very hard to fault this thing as you're driving, but if you're a Toyota van, or you have a Toyota, or you're coming from something, which I suppose if you're going for a Tundra, you probably would be. There's a few niggles on it, which are small and not the end of the world, but again, just there, like, really, they could have fixed that. You've got this beautiful steering wheel on there, all your controls and stuff are on it, which are fantastic. And steering wheel controls, I think, make it so much nicer to drive, because you don't have to take your hand off the wheel to adjust, you know, what your fan's doing. You want to see what your heads-up display is doing, adjust the stereo, whatever it may be. The problem is because these vehicles are built as a left-hand drive vehicle and then brought to Australia and then converted to right-hand drive, they sort of fix 95% of stuff, and it's the 5% which I think stands out a lot, unfortunately. For example, on a Toyota, your indicator is always on your right-hand side. Now it's on your left. Again, a small thing, but it's something you sort of have to get used to. On the steering wheel itself, the audio controls for your stereo, left hand, cool, no worries. Nope, all your stereo controls are on this side, and they're mixed in with your adaptive cruise control and your lane departure warnings and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of like, it's all on there, but you'd expect it to be there, but it's not. It's a bit strange. And again, they're little things that you just get used to, but the things that you have to get used to. I'll tell you one thing I really do like is you can tell that this is like, there's an ergonomic engineer that's come into that, and I'm amazed that we're at a point in our civilization now that we have people who are dedicated for that sort of thing, is where your left arm sits as you're driving. There's this beautiful plush armrest that you put your arm on, and then exactly in the right spot is the gear lever. So you can sit here with your hand on the gear lever, just resting on it, and your arm on there, and it just feels right, you know? It's like at the right height. You're not tilting anything where it's not meant to be. It just feels really, really nice the way they've done that. Other things I really like in here, I love the rear view mirror. It's a camera, it's not a mirror itself, it's a camera. The camera itself is located on the back of the vehicle, and that rear view mirror up there is a screen, and it constantly tells me what's behind me. It's nice and clear, it's really good definition, it's brightly lit, and as such, it just makes it such a pleasure to drive, because you can see around you. There's no issue with visibility in this vehicle. The heads-up display as well is pretty intuitive to look at. On one side, I've got my fuel economy figures and how that's all displaying. I've got a big tacho in the center with my speedo, and on the right I've got my gauge for my iForce and my max, and it tells me how much of each I'm using. And it doesn't really make too much sense exactly what they are. I know the max is the electric motor, and there's a little bar graph in there that's showing me how full the battery is, and then there's a blue needle that flies around and shows me how much electric motor I'm using to assist with my driving. Cruising along and coasting like this, I've got nothing, but if I put my foot down a little bit, the electric motor steps in, starts to propel the vehicle, and then when the turbos spool up on the engine, that takes over from there. The iForce, I believe, it's got a little symbol on there like a turbo, so I'm guessing that's my boost pressure. To complement where your left arm goes, they've also got lots of spots for your right arm. So, you know, you've got a nice spot on top here, a nice platform for where you can rest your arm if you're driving along. Even it's comfortable to have it down lower as well, which is quite nice. There's just everything in here has been thought out to go, okay, how can we make this more comfortable for the person? And I think they've done a great job of pretty much all of this. One thing I wish my Cruiser did have is the heated and cooled seats. They seem like a bit of a luxury, and initially I was like, oh, you don't need that, you know, don't go soft, yada yada. But tell you what, it's really, really nice to be able to, you know, oh, it's a bit cold, I'll put the heated seats on, or no, the car's been sitting in the sun, I'll put the cooling seats on there and cool the seats down. Now I do have 335 kilowatts at my absolute disposal of my right foot, and if I want to, I can put my foot down and disappear towards the horizon. There just seems to be so much power in this car, and it feels so nice and easy to use it as well. It's available, it's not locked away in high revs. It's just as soon as you want it, you can put your foot down, and then boom, you're at the horizon. You've overtaken that truck, you've gotten up that hill nice and quick, whatever it may be. It just makes it so easy to drive this car. Now we're going to pull off this lovely B road here, nice and bitumenized, nice and cruisy. We're going to pull onto a bit of gravel, which I think is probably the other main strength of this car, is being able to move to different road surfaces, especially where you want to travel and you know, explore and enjoy the scenery. You can go to these different places and explore and enjoy them. and the car will just soak up everything you want to throw at it. So, right, bit of gravel. It feels so stable, which is surprising. I mean, it's a big vehicle, but it's not particularly heavy. The curb weight of this thing is, I think it's about 2.7 or 2.8. I'll put the proper number up on the screen. But it's not like a 4-ton behemoth that needs to iron out everything. Because of that wheelbase and because of the power as well, it just cruises over everything. It's fantastic. And it gives you that confidence. And it's very surprising because this is a rear-wheel drive vehicle. You can put it in 4 high and 4 low and get it to use all 4 corners. But as a standard road setup, it's in basically rear-wheel drive. Now, rear-wheel drive vehicle, no weight on the back, heaps of power up the front. You think, oh, you could be a bit of a hooligan with this sort of thing. And maybe you could, but it's too proper, this car. You've got traction control, which is going to cut right down on that sort of stuff anyway. But it's happy doing this. And as soon as you step out of that comfort zone of where the car is, it automatically feels cumbersome and big and gargantuan and like it's doing something it's not designed to do, which is true. But some vehicles, you have a lot of play with that, with their purpose, with what they like doing. The 200 series is a great example of that. It's very happy as a highway vehicle, just cruising. It's very happy towing a van. It's very happy doing off-road tracks. It's very happy doing hard off-road tracks. But in none of those does it feel like it's doing something it doesn't want to do. There's definitely things that, you know, like if you go and do really gnarly stuff, or you're getting really sporty with the way you drive on a fast track, yes, it will feel a little bit sort of out of depth, but it's such a breadth of its capabilities, which doesn't feel the same in this. Like, it feels like this has got a job to do and it's designed to do what that job is. And when you step out of it, it feels like an elephant in tap shoes. It feels like it's not really happy doing what it's doing and it wants to go back to just sitting in a field somewhere. Seamless transition. The other point we need to keep in mind is the payload of this vehicle. Now, the way you work out your payload is you have your tare weight of your vehicle, how heavy the vehicle is with just a tank of fuel, full of oil, that sort of stuff. And then we grab the GVM of the vehicle, the gross vehicle mass, how heavy the vehicle is allowed to weigh, subtract one from the other, and it gives you how much you can legally load this vehicle up by. So the tare weight of this vehicle is I think it's 2.7, 2.8 tons. GVM is just over 3.5. Gives you a payload of about 750 kilos, which sounds like quite a lot, and it actually is, but then this is designed to be a tow vehicle. It's designed to tow big, heavy vans. It's designed to have 350 or 450 kilos of downforce on the tow ball. That takes out of your payload. So already you're looking at 300 to 400 kilos of your payload gone already. That's cut it in half. So from there, you've got 300 to 400 kilos of payload that you can use to load the vehicle up. You've got to take into account your driver and passenger, plus any kids or something you got in the back. There's going to be a few hundred kilos. You've got luggage, you've got any additional accessories you want to add to the vehicle, fridge full of food, that sort of stuff. Very easy to get close to or exceed the payload of this vehicle. When you start looking into the fine print of a lot of the American trucks we have on offer here in Australia, that is something which comes up quite a lot. You don't have to add a lot of stuff. The Toyota designed this vehicle to be straight off the showroom floor, ready to go to tow, and it will do. It'll throw that van on the back. You've still got plenty of payload to put your stuff on, but that's it. You got a ceiling. More than likely, you could probably get a GVM upgrade for these vehicles down the track once they become more popular. The automotive engineers start to go through the process for new GVM upgrades for a new vehicle. And once you're looking at a 4, maybe even a 4.5 ton GVM upgrade on this vehicle, massive payload, easily be able to throw anything you want at it. So there's definitely room for improvement, but something to consider moving forward. So the Tundra, I've been driving it around for a few days now, and I thought I'd put my thoughts through to you. There's a lot of things that clash, and I think because they're not the conservative way of looking at it, it confuses a little bit of what its purpose is. And that was sort of the defining question of my review was, what is this car? Is it a tow rig? Is it an off-road rig? And could I have one? Would it suit my application? Because as you know, obviously we've got a caravan, we do a bit of traveling. I do a lot of forward driving, a lot of camping, and I've got to still be able to get to daycare and school and work and all that sort of stuff. So I need a car that can do all those sorts of things, and maybe this is the ticket for it. So let's talk a bit about it. Now, on the highway, which is where this is designed to get used, it is fantastic. Heaps of power, very comfortable, radar cruise control, all your safety sensors, it's amazing. It gets on the road, get it up to speed, you're so comfortable, it just cruises. It doesn't feel like a big vehicle when you're out on the open road, which is fantastic. When you're on your slower B roads, so you're doing 80 to 100 k's an hour, dual lane traffic, winding in and out of the hills, it is also really, really good. It's the sort of size, it's the weight, it's the power, and I think the wheelbase as well sort of lends itself to be really stable and not get shaken around by potholes and, you know, bumps in the road and that sort of stuff. It gives you confidence to drive, which I really, really like, because when you have confidence on the road, it leads you to not be scared. Things come up which are unexpected. You're confident in your vehicle and your ability to handle that vehicle. Therefore, all you have to worry about is the environment, and the environment can change and move around, but you are capable of dealing with all that. And that's what that confidence inspires, is it gives you the ability to go, no matter what happens, this car is good, I am good, we will tackle anything together. When a car doesn't give you confidence, it throws that completely out the window. And I think that's where some cars make you feel like you could have an accident very, very easy, but this thing doesn't. It's fantastic. So on those B roads, it's definitely good. It does feel bigger because suddenly you have to worry about the actual width of the thing. You're not worried about touching a curb or going over a pothole or you know, driving slightly off the road to avoid someone, because it's a big vehicle and it's designed for that thing. Now, the third aspect is the urban environment, driving it around town, in a city, in a country town where I'm from. What does it feel like? It feels big, but in no way not manageable, if that sort of makes sense. The 360-degree cameras, I think, is probably the biggest saving grace for a car this size, because it allows you to see all around you. You can see when there's a curb there, you can see when there's a bollard, you can see if you're close to another vehicle. You got safety sensors and cameras and all that sorts of stuff going on around you, and that helps you to judge where you are, what you can fit in, and how you can move. The turning circle for this is pretty big. It's massive, and as such, you do have to do a few 3, 5, 7 point turns in order to get to certain places. But again, the steering feels light, there's lots of power, lots of visibility, so it's just a case of doing one extra thing. Now, your dirt roads. This is where probably my expertise comes into it. I do a lot of dirt roads, country roads. Some of them are going to be hard compacted gravel, some of them are going to be corrugated gravel, some of them are going to be dirt, and some of them are starting to get to, oh, I need to slow down a bit here. How does this thing go? Absolutely eats it up. Again, the larger wheelbase, and I think because it's so planted over all 4 corners, it never feels out of shape. The main thing that lets it down a little bit on looser surfaces is the fact that it's a rear-wheel drive vehicle out of standard. I think it's an all-wheel drive vehicle, it'd be a little bit better, but because it's a coil-sprung rear end and there's no weight over the rear end, the rear end can slide if it needs to. Now, the traction control does step in pretty quickly and saves you, but it's one of those things where, do you need a band-aid for an issue that you could probably fix by doing something properly in the first place? Maybe, I don't know, but maybe that's my take on it, is it really does need to be all-wheel drive, I think, especially on those sort of conditions. That's where it would shine a lot better. You need to slow down, you need to be much more careful going around corners than you do with another vehicle, say a Landcruiser, a 200 series, but anything else from that, it eats it up. You go along, there's bumps, there's potholes, there's corrugations, whatever it is, this thing just cruises along. You've got plenty of power when you need it. Great thing about it as well is if you need to do stuff in like slow speed sort of thing, it'll switch over to electric motor mode and it will allow you to really crawl and move around. There's very little sound from it, which kind of feels a bit eerie, but it allows you to focus a lot better, I think. Now, when things started to get a little bit rougher, we did take it on some tracks. We did start of take it on the beach, and by no means was this meant to be an off-road test, but I sort of wanted to just dip its toe in a little bit and see how it would handle it. So especially things like rocks and gravel and mounds and washouts, that sort of stuff, where you'd probably expect to see that, especially if you're outback traveling, they're things that you might come across and probably will. And that's sort of where I wanted to aim with this. I'm not doing rock crawling, all that sort of stuff. It has 4-wheel drive. It can go very slow if it wants to. The 360-degree cameras are amazing sort of help for this sort of work. But the big letdown is the wheelbase. and especially the ground clearance on the vehicle. It has ground clearance, I think it's about 225 mil of ground clearance, but with such a big wheelbase, your ramp over angle, as in the actual angle between the two wheels and then the midpoint of the vehicle, is very, very shallow. And what that means is that if you go over a bump, that bump has to be under a certain height and under a certain angle, otherwise you'll belly the vehicle out. The rear departure on this is absolutely shocking as well. The tow bar sits very low, it's very far out from the rear axle, and the exhaust sits very low as well. And if you're going to be doing any off-road stuff, it's probably going to get squashed. So yeah, look, not a lot of points there for an off-road vehicle. On the beach was a bit of a different story. We took it down to my local beach. We let the tyres down, put it in four-wheel drive, drove it around. It actually did really, really well. The traction control needs to come off, otherwise it really kills into the throttle. And being that you don't have a lot of ground clearance, you don't want to start sinking, otherwise you go down really, really quickly and start bellying out. But there's plenty of power there. It'll easily move the wheels if you need it to get around a corner. And it felt so sure and very comfortable. Yes, you will find the limits of this vehicle, but it's at least good to know that if you do need to dip your toe into that sort of off-road stuff, say you're towing a van around Australia with your family, you pull up at a caravan park, leave the van there, hey, let's head down the beach for a bit of a drive. You definitely can with this vehicle. I'd probably want to put some bigger tyres on it, even some like an all-terrain tyre, maybe a suspension lift or something like that, just to give you that bit of extra ground clearance. And then you'd have absolutely no issues whatsoever. Let's talk about probably the drawbacks of this vehicle. And there's a few, I have to admit. Number one, the price of this vehicle. Your other American utes in the Australian market, I'll throw up a few prices and stuff at the moment. This is the most expensive for what it is, I think. The retail here in WA was 165,000, thereabouts. And then there's going to be a model above that, which is probably going to add another 15, 20 grand on top of that for extra luxuries and things. Right, should you buy a 2025 Toyota Tundra? And should you buy it for you? And I think you should if you meet 4 different criteria. Number one, you're not planning on hanging out in urban areas too much. You're planning on hitting the road, being out in the open road, being out in the country, where the massive size of this thing isn't going to hinder you in your day-to-day use of it. So you're going to plan to be traveling. Number two, you're going to have a family, probably. You're going to have a family where you're going to want to use all that interior space. It's cavernous. There's so much space in there. It's comfortable. It's luxurious. It's a nice place to sit, but you're probably going to want to be able to use all that space. So at least a couple, or even if you've got a few kids to put on the back seat, you're definitely going to want to enjoy that. Number three, you're going to have a big van to tow behind you. There are a lot of alternatives out there to towing 3.5 tons. Even from Toyota, you've got your Hilux, you've got a Prado, you've got your 70 series, you've got your 300 series. Those can tow 3.5 ton, they're rated for it. Why not just take one of those? Well, you're probably going to have it, either you're towing that amount of weight full time, or you're towing more than that weight, somewhere between 3.5 and 4.5 ton, in which case this is going to be your only option. And number four, you've got the money. For 165 plus to get this thing happening on the road, you're going to want to have some money behind you. It is expensive. Yes, there are cheaper vehicles out there, but I think the number one thing you're buying into with buying this car is that being a Toyota, you're going to have service and you're going to have help and you're going to have backup warranty all around Australia. There's that many Toyota dealerships. Everyone knows of Toyota, and being a Toyota, usually they share a lot of parts between different models as well. So you might find that you need a new wheel bearing for your Tundra. Oh, I can't find one brand new for a Tundra, but I've got one for a 300 series. Oh, look at that, it's the same thing. I don't know, it might be. But being a Toyota, they do have that characteristic where they tend to be a reliable way to travel around Australia, because Toyota is everywhere and parts are easy to come by. So if you meet those 4 criteria, yes, I think you should buy this, and you should heavily consider getting one. I don't meet many of those criteria, and I'm really considering getting one because it's a fantastic car. It doesn't suit my needs at the moment. It's a bit too big. I don't need the towing capacity. The inside space would be great, and also I haven't won Lotto to be able to afford one of these things. So I'll stick with the 200 for now. That does everything I want it to do. Thank you very much for watching this episode of Off-Road Crusader. This has been another car review, and I've very thoroughly enjoyed doing them. It's a great way to experience different things that I wouldn't otherwise try, and get to be able to give you guys some feedback as well and my thoughts on some of these vehicles. Massive thank you to Bunbury Toyota, Mark Docking and his team for allowing me to take his pride and joy out for the weekend and get to try it out and see what I think. So thank you very much. If you want to support the channel further, we do have a merch page as well, which is down in the description below. Supporting on Patreon is probably one of the best ways to do it as well. On there, you'll get early access to videos, being able to talk to me one-on-one, as well as seeing sneak previews and things that come up on the channel. Make sure you head down to the comments below. Let me know what you think of the Tundra, and let me know if there's any other vehicles you reckon I should try out and give them the old Todd treatment, hey? Give you my feedback on what they are. I'm really keen to try out some different vehicles and, you know, broaden my horizons and see what else is out there. All right, I'm gonna go and give this car a good wash. I'll catch you guys next time on Off-Road Crusader. Cheers.